Welcome back to today's Explainer, everyone. So, if you've been tracking the August 2026 tech news, you know we're right in the middle of a massive shift. The whole AI space. It's basically graduating. We're moving away from that wild sky-high hype cycle we all remember, and we're landing straight into a highly regulated, intensely competitive, and honestly commoditized global industry. So how exactly is this all playing out, and what does it actually mean for the tools we use every single day? Well, we've got the latest data from this month, so let's map it all out.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to hit 4 main things today. First up, the AI price war. Then, the super app era. Number 3 is the youth safety reckoning. And finally, we'll wrap up with global risks and rules. All right, jumping right into part 1, the AI price war. We're talking high costs versus open weight efficiency.
Right now, the underlying economics of the AI industry are basically a pressure cooker. It's a huge tug-of-war. You've got the astronomical costs of building these foundation models on one side, impatient investors on the other, and suddenly highly efficient foreign competitors jumping into the mix. To really put the stakes into perspective, Apple's stock took a 10% hit following its July 28th record high. Earlier in 2026, playing it safe for having this sort of anti-AI stance actually worked in Apple's favor. It buoyed their stock. But the market is completely flipped. That cautious positioning is now a major liability. Why? Because Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet just posted incredible earnings, and it was driven directly by their heavy AI investments. Investors are aggressively moving their money right back into the companies that are actively building out AI infrastructure.
This dynamic perfectly highlights the massive split in the market right now. You've got the US high compute strategy going head-to-head with the Chinese open weight strategy. In the US, the playbook has basically been to just throw mountains of expensive computing power at the problem. But investors are starting to push back. Like macro investor Raoul Pal recently went after Anthropic's Claude, criticizing its slow performance and strict inference limits. He basically warned that they need to scale their compute rapidly or they're going to lose enterprise customers, plain and simple. Now, on the flip side, we have a recent Bloomberg report showing that Chinese labs like DeepSeek, Qwen, and Moonshot are hitting near parity with frontier US models. But here's the kicker. They're doing it with a fraction of the compute by leaning heavily into an open weight strategy. They are building smaller, hyper-targeted models that don't need, city block-sized server farms to run. And because of that, adoption is just exploding.
And this total divergence in strategy has kicked off what industry analysts are calling the AI race to zero. I mean, DeepSeek just dropped a coding model with pricing that is literally pennies per use. You could probably fund a whole day's work with the spare change at the bottom of your bag. This ultra-aggressive pricing is turning AI into a basic commodity. It's totally shaking up the market and putting immense pressure on the big US labs like OpenAI and Anthropic. They're being forced to slash their mid-tier pricing just to keep their enterprise clients from walking away. Honestly, the era of charging a massive premium for basic AI access, it's pretty much over.
Moving on to part 2, the super app era, and how the AI ecosystem is consolidating. Because AI is becoming commoditized, the tech giants are realizing they can't just throw a bunch of random experimental AI features at the wall to see what sticks anymore. They have to actually productize. Microsoft is literally taking a pair of scissors to its free tier offerings right now. Things like deep research, AI-generated podcasts, Copilot labs, group chat, they are retiring them. They're aggressively trimming the fat, moving away from those shiny new toys, and focusing entirely on building highly integrated must-have enterprise super apps.
Satya Nadella actually reaffirmed Microsoft's exact playbook for this unified platform on their July 29th earnings call. Step 1, which literally went live today, merges the consumer and Microsoft 365 Copilot experiences across mobile and web. Done. Step 2 is rolling out serious enterprise controls. We're talking data loss prevention for Copilot Drive and strict agent governance, basically making the tool rock-solid secure for even the most cautious corporate IT departments. And step 3 is the big one, fully consolidating Copilot Chat, Cowork, and GitHub Copilot into one single super app by the end of September. That right there is the blueprint.
And Microsoft is definitely not the only one doing this. Deep integration is just the new industry standard. Google, for instance, just baked a contextual conversational Gemini side panel straight into its workspace management console. It helps admins tackle user and license tasks right there on the spot. Meanwhile, over in Apple land, a leaked video from the macOS Tahoe 26.7 release candidate confirms some wild hardware-level integration.
We're talking upcoming camera-equipped AirPods featuring Siri-enabled visual intelligence. The AI will actually be able to identify objects right in your environment. So AI isn't just a website you go to anymore. It's becoming this invisible layer built right into the headphones you might be wearing right now.
That brings us to Section 3, the Youth Safety Reckoning. This is a major industry inflection point.
As AI gets baked into everyday life, the impact it's having on minors is getting impossible to ignore. We are hitting a serious inflection point. Just look at the insane timing of events happening today. On the legal front, Meta is starting a massive, landmark 29-state trial over alleged harms to young users. That is bringing heavy scrutiny to social platforms and AI chatbots everywhere. But on this exact same day, OpenAI officially launches ChatGPT for teens, which is a highly guarded sandbox for 13 to 17-year-olds. And if that wasn't enough, today is also the day Google is finishing up the mobile rollout of its Gemini integration for Classroom, which, crucially, includes admin controls to lock down access for anyone under 18. This convergence isn't just a coincidence. It shows that youth safety is no longer a nice-to-have. It is absolutely the central operational mandate right now.
So how are companies technically navigating this liability? Take a close look at OpenAI's new ChatGPT for teens. They aren't just putting up a little enter your birthdate prompt. They've built in strict content restrictions, mandatory break reminders, and a specific study mode. It's designed to act like a tutor, guiding students to an answer instead of just spitting out completed homework. But honestly, the most fascinating part is the AI age prediction system. If the system's behavioral analysis even suspects the user is a minor, it automatically routes them right into the protected, restricted experience. No questions asked.
All right, let's wrap up with Section 4, Global Risks and Rules, focusing on geopolitics and regulation. As the industry matures, youth safety isn't the only hurdle. Geopolitics and some very strict new international regulations are completely rewriting what these models can actually do globally. Geopolitical AI risk is entering the mainstream policy chat in a huge way. UK policymakers are actually asking this stark question out loud, formally, right now: what if another country cuts off access to your AI models? They are looking directly at the sheer danger of economic dependency. I mean, think about it. If your entire nation's economy relies on deeply integrated foreign AI super apps, what happens if that access just vanishes overnight because of a geopolitical conflict? It's an absolute massive vulnerability.
And policymakers aren't just sitting around asking questions, they are laying down the law. Look at the EU AI Act's Article 50 transparency rules that kicked in on August 2nd. To play by the rules, Anthropic had to implement mandatory invisible text watermarks for all Claude outputs, plus C2PA metadata in their image files. But think about the sheer scale of that for a second. This is a global policy. There is zero opt-out. A regulation passed in the European Union is literally dictating the technical output of an AI model for every single user on the planet.
But we have to remember not all of this scrutiny is coming from the outside. These tech companies are actually self-restricting their own frontier models based on internal risk assessments. OpenAI, for example, just threw some tight additional restrictions on its Astra model. And they didn't do it because a court ordered them to. They did it because their own internal cybersecurity evaluations flagged some potentially dangerous capabilities within the model itself. So whether it's an internal safety lab or an international parliament, the message is crystal clear. The whole move fast and break things era of AI? Yeah, that's definitively over.
Which really brings us to the ultimate takeaway for today's explainer. We've seen how these brutal price wars are turning AI into a cheap, commoditized utility. We've seen how enterprise super apps are baking that utility into our workflows, our schools, literally into our AirPods. And we've watched governments scramble to regulate the safety of these tools to secure their own sovereignty. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. As AI weaves itself into the absolute core of our global infrastructure, becoming just as essential as electricity or the internet, who ultimately controls the off switch? Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep asking those big questions, and we'll see you in the next explainer.